City of Stevens Point Board of Park Commissioners meeting, recorded August 6, 2025.
Let's call the August 6, 2025 Board of Park Commissioners meeting to order. Roll, please.
Alder Broderick is excused. Alder Boozy? Here. Freckman?
Here.
Disher?
Here.
Kedrowski?
Here.
Alder Kiemer?
Here.
McDonald?
Here.
O'Connor?
Here.
Shabilsky?
Here.
Sorensen?
Here.
Wynn?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, item number 2, approval of the June 4th, 2025 minute.
Do that first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before you.
We have acknowledgement here, one of our board members for 40 years. Not, I guess, too many commissions can claim they have 2 members that have at least had 40 years. So Liz McDonald, congratulations.
President, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So I am Mike Wiesa. I am currently mayor of the city of Stevens Point, but before that, I was an alderman for the city of Stevens Point. And before that, I was a resident of the city of Stevens Point who really loved our parks. And when I first got elected to council in 2004, then Mayor Gary Westcott said, "Hey, Mike, you like parks. I'm going to put you on the Parks Commission." And I got appointed to the Parks Commission in 2004. And Liz was, of course, there. Freckman was there. I mean, all you, basically everybody but Carrie was there. That's actually kind of weird now that I think about it. But I have now, that was 20 years ago. Liz and Mike have been on there double that. And I think that is a testament to not only our community's passion for our public green spaces and parks, but the amount of experience and expertise that sits on this board is unmatched. I mean, Dr. Freckman, you are my go-to plant guy. When we were looking at creating a dog park, I asked you to come out there and do a survey to see if there was anything that was bad for the environment or bad for dogs. And Liz, the fact that you have been on here helping us create the best dang park system, and I would say the Midwest, is nothing short of amazing. So thank you very much for all of your service. We're hoping for another 40, so I'm counting on you. But you know, when people walk to the parks, I don't care which park it is. If it's Goerke Park because you like all of the multi-uses and the athletics, or if it's Iverson Park because you enjoy hiking or bird watching or swimming, or Piffner Park because you love the awesome music, or maybe it's something like Cash or Sloman Park where you just want to go hang out at the neighborhood park for a while and relax. It's all because of people like you. And I am proud to say we are 98% of the way there to having every address in the city have no more than a 10-minute walk to a park. So thank you all very much for your service. But Liz, especially today, we honor you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and really appreciate it. The opportunity to serve for this many years. It's been an honor, and it's really been a privilege to be able to be on the Parks Board, so thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So we have started a tradition, actually, when Mike crossed the 40-year service, we do plant a tree in honor of anyone that does 40 years of service. So the Forestry Department, Liz, will be in touch with you. We'll be honored to pick a park with you, and then we will go ahead and plant that so it can grow into perpetuity. So we appreciate all your years of service, and certainly I really appreciate all the guidance you give me as well with all the things that go on, and certainly all the historical knowledges that I call upon you often for. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Liz. All right, with that being number 2, the approval of the June 4th, 2025 meeting minutes. Motion? Second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, the naming of the Leary Park as requested by the Friends of 2713, but John Kedrowski.
So as a reminder, this would be 2 months ago now, we took, this board took action to recommend to council, and council has since approve that recommendation to name the train parcels or to make the train parcels an ordinance-protected parkland. So that part has taken place. By the naming requirement and policy within the city, we do need to publish that, which we have since done, and offer the opportunity for community members to weigh in on the naming potential. That has been posted, and we have not received anything to the negative or the positive. So at this point, all of the naming requirements have been fulfilled, and staff is bringing this action item back, asking this commission to recommend to council that we would name this property or parkland in honor of Herb and Theresa Leary, as it was kind of presented when we first talked about this. If that does get taken place here tonight, if you make that action, this then will go to the council this month, and we would then look to put a sign up here later this summer.
All right. Any questions, comments? Otherwise, looking for a motion?
I'll move approval of naming the 3 parcels mentioned in the agenda, Leary Park, in honor of Herb and Theresa.
All right, second? All right. That, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, number 4, the Goerke Park Master Plan Draft Concept. Starting out with this, what we're looking is to discuss the latest version of the draft that we approved and changed back in June, where we removed the dome and all these other items. So what I'd like to do is, if there's any community that would like to speak, we will open it up for just for comments, but no questions and answers, just for 3 minutes. So Dan, you want to discuss?
Sure. So do you want me to do an overview and
Yes.
then have comments
Yeah.
first? Okay. So commission members, what you have here, I put this up on the board for you. This is the latest draft rendering based on the basically individual action items that took place last month. For those of you that might not have had a chance in the crowd, or those that are attending online to review the agenda notes, essentially, we're into basically the fourth kind of or third rendering of what's here. And the big items that were acted on separately last month relates to what I would call kind of the south central part of the park, which at one point was showing a inflatable dome that has been since removed based on that action by the commission in May. Additionally, attached to that, the Parker building, or the field house, is still on this, or is included in this drawing as being kept, which was also an action item at that time. And the Park Rec and Forestry building, or the former armory, as well as the gymnasium, is also included on this latest rendering and drawing. Other things that were mentioned in May and acted on separately was to include the single lane bus lane, taking it to a single lane, which would be between that southern, south central kind of green space, softball diamond area and the school district's building. And then including a small parking lot that could service the Parker building if improvements happen in the future, could be used potentially if it moves forward for staff with the school district, and then also serve that recreational area or the park itself along Main Street. So that is what you see as labeled number 2 here in the southern area. The other items that were acted on separately was to place the 50,000 square foot aquatic center, which is an outdoor pool and aquatic amenity, back in the area of where it is located currently, and then to add a vegetation buffer, which was requested between the Price Street homes that abut the park and anything that gets improved in the northern area. That buffer is shown on this drawing to range between 21 feet up to around 26 feet, depending upon the area along that northern boundary. That's the best guess based on the topography we have now. Obviously, this is not a design, but that's what basically the data we have based on what's been shot in the field is showing currently. As we did ask for a calculation on there, it's showing around 21 to 25 feet. The other items that were talked about was making the Price Street access a pedestrian access. So what you'll see here is there is no driveway mid-block. Ultimately, what that would be is there's no curb cut either to the road. It would be from the sidewalk on Price Street, the way this is shown, into the park, really foot or bicycle traffic only, and would be along the parcel that the city already owns at 2517. During the discussions in the end, pickleball was discussed about being added into the plan. So the 6 existing tennis courts that do have lines to be used as pickleball when they're not being primarily used as tennis remain in this drawing, but 4 new pickleball courts are shown adjacent to footprint of the aquatic center, as well as a brand new playground with what's shown here as a poured-in-place surface, which is similar to the Cash Playground in Mead Park. And then the basketball court, since it would be required to be relocated, is shown in the central region of this as well. Other things that are in this that were acted on was keeping the hockey rink in its existing footprint and its existing setup. So you'll see that as number 10. While the ice rink is not shown, the field and green space is left alone, which will allow the full ice rink to continue to be flooded in the same location. And number 11 shows the shot put and discus areas that are currently also being used in that same footprint in the same location. Other elements of this plan, as you can see, is really basically what was there in previous drawings. There was a little bit of what I would call cleanup related to the pedestrian pathway that comes from the northeast side of the park. I'm going to zoom in here slightly. Today, if you walk next to the KB Willett Arena on this corner, I'll call it a cattle path really exists from people that cut the corner when they make it to the public property and head over to this walking path going around the KB Willett. This is shown to be improved now where it would actually be a hardscape path. Additionally, when we have overflow parking, so when there's large events, we've actually had to add boulders along the northern part of the existing lot because cars would actually drive up into that lawn and park tight to the fence. So we've had some neighbors concerned about that where we've tried to work through a barrier. So again, this is not a design drawing necessarily, this is really concept. What this would do is give a full protected pedestrian pathway there, and then we'd have to have a barrier on the northern part of the parking lot. So that's really the updates based on other elements that you can see are still in here. The drop-off lane is still in front of PJ Jacobs based on what we had worked with on the school district previously. Other elements that were talked about that incorporated is there's been some discussion or questions related to gates that are shown. So one gate that was asked of me directly was the gate that I'll call here by 22. This is what was asked as we talked through this was that today, ultimately there's signage all over the park that asks during school days to not have traffic drop off or come through and cut around the Boys and Girls Club and the PD police department. The police chief had spoken with me and asked if during drop off time, so essentially if a gate could go in on an electronic timer or something of that nature, if during the school year at say the 7 a.m. busy window until school started, and then again at that 2:45 to 3 drop-off window, if the gate would allow that to not have people cutting in front of bus traffic or cars that are coming in this lot. What I can tell you is this is not design, this is conceptual. So what this shows is that a gate would fit here if that would work during design, but ultimately we'd have to talk to the partners, those that are using the lot. Additionally, if that would go down, we certainly would have to have the police department agree to people coming in on the northern driveway at all times to get to the Boys and Girls Club when that's closed. So there's some logistical things that would have to be addressed during design, but it's shown that the way this is laid out, a gate could go in that location. As you know with the park today, we do have several gates in the park. So even today on the Sims Avenue, we have a gate. It's open and closed depending upon different times of the year. We have a gate on the Minnesota side as well, which we open and close based on if there's events going on. The same gate strategy is what's kind of carried forward here. The way that this is drawn, again, conceptually, is that the buses would be what is using the bus lane. So there's a gate shown here so that if it's just buses, it could actually be closed in the evening if we didn't want it. All of that would play a role just like the current setup has over time and based on how the park is getting used. And during design, we'd have to identify it closer to make sure that all those that are in the park, it's going to work within their logistics and their operations. But ultimately, to make sure things would fit and to see that they could go there, that's how those gates are shown currently. So what I'm looking for after we get through the public comment period is I'm looking for the Park Commission to give me further direction here tonight, whether we've incorporated all of the comments from the previous meetings, the previous feedback we've received, and ultimately if you'd like to see me work with Rutler to make any more changes, or if we're at a point where some cost estimation could go be attached to the drawing, and that could come back before you all for approval later on this year. Currently, the way things are setting up, it looks like October would be the first month this would be ready to come back, just based on some scheduling where I'm not going to be here in September for the commission meeting. So that is what I'm looking for tonight, is either direction on further changes, or if we're at a point where you want it to move forward. And other than that, I can certainly answer questions when we get to that point.
Okay, thank you, Director Kramer. Any questions from the commission? All right, being none, is there anybody from the community that would like to speak? And speak for 3 minutes. It's not question and answer, it's just a statement. Name and address, please.
Trina Dorn, 2725 Main Street. Again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening to our cries and concerns and putting forward a beautiful future for Goerke Park. My one statement tonight is a representative from the Copps family has reached out to me and would like me to say, moving forward in your current plans, They would prefer and love and want the name of our municipal pool to remain Donald Kopp's. That should remain the same when and if an aquatic center is built down the road into the future. This is a family who has contributed a lot of money and gave so much to this community and our beloved Goerke Park. A name like this should be remembered and celebrated. My second statement and concerns a little bit. Speaking with a couple people, maybe just where the ball diamonds are. I know this is just a tentative thing. Hoping down the road we can possibly use that warming house as a concession stand for the ball games, making it a useful purpose, 360 days, whatever, 65 days a year, building down the road. And I have a little bit of concerns. I've been seeing a lot of not so good things with the traffic in front of my house. With the clinic opening, I am a little bit concerned having a parking lot there. We'll keep watching that, and hopefully, my only question is maybe, I know I can't ask a question, but down the road, hopefully we can have some feedback, question answers, type things. But otherwise, moving forward, I am beyond blessed and grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Danielle Belsky, 941 Michigan Avenue, right next door at Boys and Girls Club. I am the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club, and Dan, I just want to say congratulations on the new addition to the family. Very exciting. Thank you for letting me speak. My biggest concern moving forward with this draft is the safety for the congestion of the parking lot. So could you just move that down so I could just, up the other way. Right now, during our busiest time of year, we're seeing 200 kids at our Boys and Girls Club that are coming in and out daily. When you add in the pool on a 90-degree day or the days that it is open, our parking lot is packed. I'm very concerned about adding another expanding a bigger aquatic center on the north end and it not having a public access point. Right now, for people to come into that parking lot, they'd have to either go through the police department driveway or through the new gated entrance. Adding in a bigger facility, it's safety concerns for the kids, especially when the kids will be walking across the street, whether it's to the parking lot, to the tennis courts, to the gymnasium, or the basketball courts. I would really encourage a couple of options that I've thought of. Take it for what you wish, is if there is any way for there to be an access to the east where that pedestrian walkway is on number 20. I don't know if that's big enough, but to have that as a main entrance going into the Kopp's Municipal Pool would be awesome. Or if there is a way to even flip-flop the aquatic center with the existing tennis courts, pickleball courts, playground, and basketball courts, which would make more sense to me because then those people can utilize more of that PJ Jacobs parking lot during those summer hours. Summer school is going on in the morning when that parking lot is being used, but in the afternoon when the pool is open, that parking lot is sitting empty, which would really avoid and we wouldn't have as many safety concerns for our kids walking in and out of the club. So that is where I'm here today, is to advocate for the safety of our kids, especially as they're coming in and out. There is already a lot going on in this park. We love this park. It's great space for a Boys and Girls Club, but I'm just concerned for the safety of our kids and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
So Meg Erler, 3233 Leahy Avenue. I want to echo everything Danielle said as the president of the Boys and Girls Club with respect to the concerns about the safety. As we take a look at this map, the reality is there's an existing parking lot there that just hasn't been, it's like a ghost, you know, and the reality is that parking lot is heavily used. But also the police department over the last year or so has been very concerned about use of the parking lot, you know, hence the gate, hence how traffic is flowing in there and out. So I encourage you to consider the options that Danielle has put out there as the president of the Boys and Girls Club. Now I'm going to put my hat on as a Stevens Point resident. not Boys and Girls Club, not school district. I'm very concerned in the long run that the city of Stevens Point will question why the aquatic center isn't down where it was initially located, on Main Street. It would allow for the best traffic flow in there. The traffic flow to that water park is going to be coming down Main Street anyway. I mean, that's the reality. But for people, especially those who are going to be coming into the community that don't know our community, to try to figure out how to wind their way in there, there's going to be consistent conflict, I believe, with the Boys and Girls Club as well as with the police department. If the city's intention is to keep the police department where it is, I don't know how the police are going to be able to police that parking lot when you have this wonderful aquatic center that everyone's coming to. When you take a look at where Marshfield has their aquatic center, you take a look at where Wisconsin Rapids has their aquatic center, it's just right there. It's accessible. It doesn't require a lot of winding your way in. So I'm just saying, from a community perspective, if somebody was doing that look down on Goerke Park from a high level as to where an aquatic center should be for the long term, for the benefit of the community, I think it would be in that south portion of the park. If that is not an option, I know the Parks Commission has kind of shut that door. I strongly encourage you to consider those options of Danielle so that that access comes right off of PJ's parking lot and we're not dealing with serious traffic issues through the police department and through Boys and Girls Club. Thanks, you.
Meg. Anybody else? Last call. Anybody else like to speak?
Check online. Anyone on the line want to speak?
All right. Commissioners, questions? Liz?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. And I mean, this looks like a great plan. I think there's some things that we should take into consideration that were brought up this evening. But one of the things I wanted to mention is that I saw on local news tonight that Rhinelander is opening or going to be building a splash pad up there, and it was the Kiwanis was the group that was trying to fund it or raise the funds for it, and they were estimating the cost was between $600,000 and $700,000 just for the splash pad. Given what the city's budget is and the constraints that we're on, that I know we're looking at this as a multi-year plan, but I really think that we should be inviting groups that are interested in this and that want to see an aquatic center, a splash pad, things like that go into the park, that we would invite community members to participate in fundraising, maybe some organizations that would be willing to step up to kind of take the lead in this, because with that kind of a price tag, and it's going to be a lot more if we're talking about a pool and everything else as well, we're going to really need to start raising money now if we're going to want to build it in 5 years. So thank you.
Well said. Anybody else?
I guess, Dan, just a couple of things. This is basically a big roadmap at this point. There is nothing here that potentially down the road, based on funding, traffic studies, that I think that Danielle raises. I mean, I think we need to look at some of that kind of stuff. But this is really a conceptual plan that you are asking us to approve tonight. Meg, to your point, we had the splash pad down in the south end, and we got a ton of feedback saying that there were other elements that were critical. And so this revision was based on the feedback from a lot of community members, both in surveys. So I guess I support it where it is because we already have a footprint there. But I also think the concerns you have about traffic traffic safety, you're going to need to be at the table when we figure out what this might look like eventually. But this is a plan to move it forward, and then the next steps are fundraising and all kinds of things like that. Am I understanding that correctly, Dan?
Yeah, so how our master plan processes go is, let's just say that whether there's changes or not, October will come with a price tag. And it's just like Xenoff Park did. It'll be preliminary high-level estimates, and that's still not approval of the cost. It's just the really approval of the map. What that map is used for then is there could be a lot of combinations here. Let's pick out an obvious one. Maybe we do have a family or someone step forward about the aquatic center saying we'd like to do something soon. We'd look at that cost estimate high level. We talk about what kind of private dollars could be involved. We'd likely talk with all the partners that do use the pool. And then ultimately the Common Council and the Park Commission would either entertain the idea of placing something in a future capital budget or would say just simply, no, it's too expensive. The reverse could be true. Let's say that the drop-off lane or the school district's parking lot, or really the city's parking lot, but that the school district uses, let's say one of those elements, there's enough traction on one side or the other to say we want to do something soon. There again, based on the preliminary cost estimates we have, the partners involved, we'd have a discussion to say, okay, this is the price tag to do that. This is what these partners might be willing to to do, and then whether it be fundraising or, again, the Common Council and saying, let's put that in a certain year to try to do it. So a plan of this magnitude, and I don't want to scare sticker shock, but if you're talking a 50,000 square foot aquatic center, you're in the realm of $10 to $12 million, and that's just that component. When you start looking at a turf, if it's turf, it could be grass, but if you look at the ball diamonds down here, the way this is drawn in what I would call probably a utopic user side would be a turf field so that rain and inclement weather doesn't get in the way. Additionally, the snow melts off sooner, so you can get on it earlier. You can also play later into the fall. When you start talking about turf here so that you could play not only softball, I use softball on the two diamonds, but remove the outfield fences and have football, phy-ed classes, all the things that this gets used for, you're talking a couple to few more $1 million down on that side of the ball diamond or ballpark too. Now we'll have that again when it gets to the point where we're ready to cost estimate it, but the simple reality is, this might be a lifetime of improvements if we really look at it. One of the biggest things I think this commission, and myself especially, will use this for is we get a lot of what I would call wishful thinking from different entities. So if someone has something or a member of their organization or even ours that comes forward and says the best place to put amenity A is right on the corner of Main Street in Minnesota, or the best place to put amenity B is right there where the Parker building sits. This allows us to say, no, we've gone through, really if you added up, almost 3,000 surveys between the Corp and the master planning process to say that's not the location. This is what we're kind of planning for. These things change over time. Certainly as time goes on and certain elements and recreational amenities change, but we know if we're doing an aquatic center, if this gets adopted, that this is going to be the site for it. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's really how this plays a role. I will also tell you there is lots of master plans we've done, and lots of them, there might only be 25% of it that gets done. I will give a huge credit to the Friends of Emerson Park and Saramer. They were able to get a drawing done and did the whole thing. That's amazing. It was done in a very quick amount of time. It's not uncommon for a certain piece to move because there's safety elements or there's a big benefactor or donor that can help, and then other elements kind of sit until certain grant funding or other things do line up.
All right, thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm online. Okay, thank you. So do we have a cost for what exactly a parking lot would cost in the field behind the Willet? Any idea on that?
As I stated, when we get to a place where we're ready to cost estimate the drawing, we'll have a cost estimate for everything. And Mr. Hoff, respectfully, I'm not going to exchange back and forth between 10 questions. If you have a statement to honor the chairperson's wishes, we're going to ask you to make it, and I'm going to start the timer now.
Fair enough. Okay. I just don't know how a plan can be approved if we don't have the money for it. Furthermore, I watched the video from the previous meeting, and at exactly a minute 21 seconds or so, it was discussed that a parking lot would not be there because it was not the betterment of the park, including the splash pad. And the path through, kind of going from Clayton to the back of, our houses into the aquatic center, parking lot, whatever it may be, is a good idea. You guys already own the property. You might as well make a walkway through there. I think that's a good idea. However, the parking lot as it stands now with this plan, there are still cars that are going to get there early facing north, which is going to be shining lights into our backyard. The people that are complaining to the east of the Willett, I'm sorry, but they should have known what they were getting into when they bought the house. There hasn't been a parking lot since the Willett was constructed in the early 80s. Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The aquatic center, I'm all in. I think it's a great idea. Where it goes, I don't really care. I think Riverfront Park would actually have been a great spot for the aquatic center. But I don't know how many people on the Parks Board watch that field behind the Willett as much as the people that live there. And there is a constant amount of people that are back there playing soccer, baseball, kids throwing footballs to their dads. Where are these people going to go do that? And the Pointers last year, or this year's schedule, they've got 11 home games. Last year, Spash had 11 home games, but 22 games. We're looking at 60 to 66 hours a calendar year that a parking lot would be utilized back there for busy times at the Willett, i.e. Pointer games and Spash hockey games. And from that last meeting, also, Athletic Director Duckworth had mentioned about people slipping and hurting themselves on that back sidewalk. However, my 82-year-old mother and 80-year-old stepfather walk those paths every single day and have never had a fall or never had an injury from walking on icy sidewalks by the Willett. So the Parks Department takes fantastic care of all of that. And to approve a concept like this without knowing what a parking lot's going to cost, how can that be approved? Let's go ahead and do it, but we don't have the money. So why would we even do it? This whole parking lot thing is like the bad mosquito that just won't go away. We fought it in 2008. We're fighting it now. I beg the board, leave it as is. And when the Pointer football team is great, rocking and rolling, well, then let's figure that out. We all know the hockey team is great. We all know that there's plenty of parking for the hockey games. This whole thing is just taking away an enormous field, a beautiful field of green space for a parking lot.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you.
It's gone. It's gone.
All right. Other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing, and I said it last time we went over this too, is this area right here, and it's not really in our control, but it's something maybe I wish the aldermen look at maybe down the road. Is this the best place to have the police department? They're taking up a lot of space that could be used for something else. So that's just for the aldermen to decide. So.
All right. Anybody else? All right.
Is that A? Yep.
All right. So I guess what we're looking for is a recommendation. Do we want to change something?
Yeah, just to make sure. So we're not looking for approval tonight. I'm not asking for approval. So you're not approving the drawing. What ultimately I'm asking for is before they would go through a cost estimating exercise, which is what I think we're being asked about here in the latest public comment, is that we don't want to cost estimate it 4 times. So the way our proposal is and the way we've set up with Rattler is when they do the cost estimate, it's one time without us paying for it again. So that's where if I'm asking ultimately from the commission is if you want some changes, we can certainly do that. But once you say go ahead and get it cost estimated, there could be some additional costs if we do another cost estimation later. Doesn't mean we can't do it that way. Just want to make sure you're aware of it. That's what we're looking at. Otherwise, what would happen is the drawing would come back along with the cost estimates before an action item would be put on an agenda.
Yes.
I'm just going to express this as a concern that I had after the last meeting going into this meeting. And it was really well echoed by a couple folks about moving I understand why we moved the footprint for the aquatic center back to where it is. But my first thought when I looked at this plan, boy, that's a lot going on right in that spot with the parking lot, the aquatic center, pickleball, basketball, playground, tennis courts, all tight together. And like we heard tonight concerns about the traffic when all of those things are going at once. So I guess my big question, and it's a rhetorical question, is seeing as one of the most important things that we heard in the survey was about the aquatic center, about the need for this. And the fact that, you know, whether it's here or whether was it Sarimer or whatever, that's really only going to be in one park. It's only going to be in one spot. We have other pickleball courts. We have other basketball courts. Is it worth, if the aquatic center ends up in this spot, is it worth it to, again, rhetorical, is it worth it to have pickleball courts there and a basketball court when that could increase the size of that aquatic footprint by a third? I mean, my thought is, are we trying to squeeze too much into too small of a space? And, you know, I understand that there's been a basketball court there. I understand that people have gotten used to playing pickleball there on the tennis courts. Maybe we've got to make a choice. And that's just my 2 cents on that. Because I'd hate to see, I enjoyed the original concept of having the aquatic center to the south. I understand why we moved it back north to where it is. But boy, we're just trying to squeeze a lot in that little quadrant there. And then plus with the traffic and everything else. Maybe it's something to look at. I don't know if it's worth a recommendation now, changing anything now, but that was my first thought, and I just had to get that off my chest.
Thank you.
Can I make another comment, or is it?
Sure. Go ahead.
Just the one comment I would say is my understanding that I was informed was that our current pool facility aquatics has a hole in it. And there's going to have to be a decision sooner rather than later on what we do with that pool. So figuring out where this aquatic center is something that's going to have to be determined sooner rather than later. So I would really encourage the Park Commission to consider that. Where we talk this is long-term down the road. No, this is something that's probably in the next 5 to 10 years. You guys are going to have to make a decision on what to do with this pool.
I guess my concern too is, I mean, the original having the pool up along Main Street was with the elimination of the Parker building or whatever, moving those areas. I do have a concern having the aquatic center. I think there's just too many things being pushed into a landlocked parcel. I mean, the neighbors obviously don't want houses moved, you know, made the park bigger. Maybe we do need to look at a different site for the aquatic center where it has more ability to grow as in the future. I don't know where that would be. I mean, I think as far as we like the pool in the city being a central area, but everything in this park, we want it into central area. And where do we go with it is the question. I mean, university properties, I don't know. I don't think Saramore Park is big enough to move. You know, we need parking around there. There's definitely not parking in that area. Do we eliminate, I mean, I think with the dome, we were trying to, you know, Boys and Girls Club, the schools here, everybody trying to get everything in here. Yeah, maybe we need to go back and think of a different area. I don't know, go ahead, yeah.
I'm going to step in here. I've been pretty quiet related to parking and park and locations and alternatives during this whole process, but there's some key things here that we're missing. So first and foremost, the Boys and Girls Club does not have 200 vehicles spending 8 hours a day in the park, okay? So I'm not going to speak for them, but there is a heavy drop-off and pickup component of what they do. Sarimer Park and 27 other neighborhood parks cannot have an aquatic center. They don't have parking. They're in neighborhoods. You'd be putting people on the street. The only locations you build aquatic centers or pools are community parks. So if the Goerke came off the table, which is what, when you start to look at the usages here, the school district is out of session all summer. So you free up over 100 stalls that even if you have to walk, there's some strategy to this gate. The gate can be closed during the day too to make sure this lot gets filled up. We're not in design discussions here today, but I can assure you, I've thought of this stuff, right? But some of it we have to work out if it actually goes forward. But you have this whole parking lot inventory that's wide open all day. Additionally, the way the lot is designed and laid out meets code compliance. There is traffic lanes for people to be able to drive through these lots. We don't have, today if you cross from the Boys and Girls Club or the PD, there is no parking or sidewalk that connects here. This is an island. Children walk across this parking lot every day. The way this is laid out, we have now added walking pedestrian access through the park all over. You can walk down along a sidewalk that exists. You can cross along Sims Avenue. You can walk a sidewalk all the way back up, and you can get to the facilities you're using. I realize children do not always do that. We're going to have to be cautious. We'll probably need speed bumps. We'll need other elements here. But I want you to know that we have an aquatic center today that is bringing 13,000 to 15,000 people here, okay? And yes, the Boys and Girls Club is using the park, and it's wonderful. We want a community park to be busy. That's why it's here. That's why it's in the center of the park. The Parker building has left. Our community was loud about how much they want that building. I will tell you, when you look at pound for pound usage, it's not even close that the Aquatic Center is trumping that by 15,000 every year, okay, if you actually add it up. However, as we look down the road and historical value, hopefully we can repurpose that and use it for something else. This ball diamond area already has Phi-Ed classes on it all school year. It's already used for all the youth softball. Youth softball's looked at it, relayed it out. They believe they can continue to use it. So what are we actually adding here? If this would get built, the Aquatic Center, you're going to increase attendance. There's no doubt. And we are bringing 100 more parking stalls on the northern side. The PD will certainly have to realize that there would be more vehicles coming through this side of it. But to my knowledge, I've never had the PD tell me outside of the school year that they are concerned about the cars. The cars are related to the school traffic zipping through the lot to drop off and pick up. The PD also was a large advocate to say they'd like to have a driveway up here on the north, and our community overwhelmingly, and the neighbors, said don't do that. That doesn't mean it's never done, so the community could still realize if a problem comes up down the road that that land is owned and operated by the city. So there's a strong opportunity there too. I'm not going to tell the commission to not look in other areas. I'm all for it. I will do anything this commission wants. But I'm going to stand by hundreds of my own personal time of hours in this. 3,000 surveys. Don't let one or two or three voices undo thousands of hours of work. I'm not saying we have to push it through, but what I'm saying is this is a almost 30-acre park. There is a couple 100,000 people that come through Goerke Park every year already. Yes, we would be having some more amenities. But let's say the pickleball courts are full. You're talking 16 people playing actively. Let's say maybe 16 more on the outside. The basketball court's already here. The playground will certainly allow more people from the neighborhoods that come in or those that are using the other amenities to be there. But I can tell you on a Saturday when the other things aren't being actively programmed, you might have 7,000 people at a football game or a smash game. So the main roads, the way this lays out, this park can handle a lot. Today it handles it without really any planning. It just came together over 100 years. So I will look at anything you ask me to, but I will tell you that, yes, this is busy, but it's a community park in the center of the city. So if our community, which I believe they've been very clear on, said do not have it out here on Main Street, the next best location, in my opinion, short of building a new park on the east side, and I'm not saying that that shouldn't happen. We could certainly look at that. Our corp says a new community park on the east side is reasonable, and we should look for it. If we had property where an aquatic center could fit on the east side, we could consider it. The downside there, again, is you're going to take all the children from the center of the heart of the city and make them have to get on a bus to go across to the east side. Everyone's going to give and take in this plan. If I've learned anything in my time of meeting with lots of residents, hearing lots, there's going to be some give and take. We have a lot of smart people in every agency that's involved here, from the school district, Boys and Girls Club, the city staff, our council, our alders, the park commission. We are not designing this thing. This is a picture today. But we can make sure that the way the traffic is handled with speed bumps, the way the crosswalks are done, the timing, other improvements, when that happens, that we account for it. And at any point, if we get into it and it's just this isn't going to work, long before any dollars are spent on actual design and construction, you'll be able to change it if you want to. So that's just the one thing I want to mention about before we go down a whole different realm of designing a whole different park. I think we should focus back into where we started, where we've come, and what we've learned. I believe almost unilaterally people are supportive of where the Parker building shook out on this drawing. almost unilaterally, people are very happy about the hockey rink staying in this park. Unilaterally, people are happy about the parking lot green space. I'm going to call it green space parking lot because that's how it gets used in the southeast corner. I think almost unilaterally, even neighbors have said there's a lot of cars on the streets, some more demand in the park is needed. But I will tell you, I've had neighbors on the north say put it on the south. I've had neighbors on the south say put it on the north. It's not in my backyard. That's what we're talking about here, okay? So I think that we have to be pragmatic as we look at this, but the reality is for the amount of people coming in this park, the amount of things that are already happening here that people don't know because you don't pay attention, we're running the calendars. This park is busy every day already. We have people on the fields all the time. The aquatic center is busy, the football field's busy. We can produce those calendars if you want to see them. I'm not lying to you, when it's over 200,000 people coming through this park already, I believe we're taking a massive step forward here. I believe that the things that are going in here are not going to make 500,000 people come here. The Aquatic Center, I do believe, would probably double the attendance. Definitely going to have more attendance there. The rest of it, I think, is going to manage very similar to what we have, and we can make some major safety improvements. So short of if our community felt uncomfortable about a certain element, I would tell you that, yes, pickleball would go before the Aquatic Center. I think our corp was clear in that when it said that was the #1 amenity people wanted to see in the park system in Goerke. So with that said, I just want to mention, I think there's a lot of good work here, and I think we're headed very close to the right direction, but there is no path forward here where we're going to make every user and every community member happy.
Thanks. Stand being corrected. Thanks. All right, anybody else? Yes.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, like, and just in case I was talking, to be clear, I wasn't saying that we should think about moving the aquatic center to a different park. What my concern is with our previous conversations, where we landed, is it worth looking at potentially expanding the footprint of, if that's where it's going to be, it's probably where it should be. Can we make it a little bigger by not trying to squeeze other things next to it? And that was my only point.
All right, anybody else? I think that one's
I have a question, or I guess more of a comment to Dan. So right now, if I understand correctly, we're not voting on this. We're going to say we like it, we're going to get some pricing for it, and then we're going to come back and vote on if we like it.
Correct.
Correct.
So I guess in my opinion, I would motion to move on to stage of getting pricing for it. And if we decide down at that point that the basketball courts or moving something around is too expensive, we can revisit it at that time. But I think we need to move the project forward.
Very good, thanks.
I'll second
All right,
it.
second. Any comments? Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Director's report, number 5.
So going on to item number 2 in the director's report, Riverfront Rendezvous, we had the 41st celebration of Riverfront Rendezvous on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We had 2 of the best crowds we've had in the first 2 nights on July 3rd and 4th this year. We had good weather to start. We had some very popular bands. And believe this or not, the last day we fought the rain all day. So our crowd was probably 15% of what we normally would have on a firework night, which is our busiest day. And we still came within about 15% of our normal numbers for the year because the first 2 days were so good. So I'm happy to report for the 6th straight year, we actually ran that festival in the black, which is another really great thing for us, especially given the fact that instead of sales in the 20,000s on the last day, our sales were closer to 6,500. So if we did not have rain the last day, we would have probably set a record for sales just due to some of the changes. A big help is that the downtown parade has moved up to 10:30. By that starting earlier, it brings a lunch crowd right to the festival as we start on the 4th of July. So we've been very appreciative to the organizer of that's been doing that and kind of working with us. We'll have some new things next year. The dates are actually the same. So we're going to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday next year. It'll end up being the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So if you haven't marked your calendars, we just ask you to please go ahead and do that. The only other thing I wanted to mention in director's report is that we did have a position come open in our department. Unfortunately, we lost a talented individual, Jonathan Hankins. Fortunately, the city did not lose the individual. So Jonathan did transfer inside to another department on the utility side. So ultimately, while we hate to see him go, we wish him well here in this next step as he takes that step. What is happening, though, is it was a position we did not know or plan for opening. However, we're always having succession planning discussions within the department. So because there was an opening, ultimately the next thing we'd identified in our succession planning was really a horticultural need. So we have a number of arborists on our staff, and we have, as you know, we're getting more and more intentional about our environmental stewardship, especially related to our pollinator plants. The cultural commons will be coming on site where we will be taking care of that soon as the volunteer group steps away in a year. And then we're trying to find other areas too where we can just do better things related around our plant life. So ultimately what I've done, and it's going to be on the personnel committee meeting for Monday, is I've kind of outlined our highest items that we were looking to do in the succession plan that we thought was probably a few years down the road. But because this is in the forestry division, the horticulturist would work right alongside an arborist. They do a lot of overlap, and they would be able to still do a lot of the similar things this position used to do. I'm asking for ultimately a retitling and a reclassification on that. So the memo and the particulars of all that requires it to go to personnel and council. It's ultimately those two bodies' decision. But I did want to let you all know that I've been given authority to fill it. That's something that the mayor gives granted on. So worst case scenario, we would be hiring another park technician later this year. But if personnel committee and common council approves of the change to the horticulturist, we'd be recruiting another person that's going to be very versed in plant life that can help us take us to the next step on our department. And we'd be looking to fill that here later this year as we head forward. So again, for Jonathan, 15 years of great service to our department, very well-liked individual. We hate to see him go, but we do wish him well, and we'll see now what's kind of in the cards for the department as we move forward to the next step. So that's what I have for the director's report.
Thank you. Item number 6, adjournment. All right.
Since Disher's not here, motion to adjourn.
Second.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.